The presiding judge, Nicholas Owebo, ruled that the embattled CBN governor be remanded at the correctional center pending the fulfillment of his bail conditions, but operatives of the secret police insisted on taking Emefiele into their custody, which ultimately led to an all-out brawl between heavily armed DSS operatives and officials of the Nigerian Correctional Service.
This is what the DSS has told Nigeria.
The Nigerian Correctional Service being humiliated. We've been humiliated. His uniform,
Complete breakdown of law and order. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys, depending on where you're watching from. This is Chris Media. I'm going to release the video to you to watch in full, to back up what we are saying, so that it won't just be like we are talking. What you have seen in that clip, in just the video playing in the background, it's not something that should be new to you. It is something that you should be accustomed to by now, because Nigeria is a hub for the breaking of law and order. Right from the top down to the bottom, people break law and order on a daily basis. That was the head of correctional center being manhandled for whatever reason. Emefiele has been granted bail of 20 million as given by the court, as directed by the court, only for the DSS to stand in the gap to say, okay, you know what, we're going to rearrest him for whatever reason. And we have a president who should have given a directive to say, what? This is this.
Government that believe in democracy. We have a government that understands the rule of law. I remember vividly well when DSS invaded EFCC office. It took less than 12 hours for the president to give order that DSS should vacate the EFCC office. Why can't he do the same here? I remember very well when I was in secondary school, the Nadeko period. I knew how the current president fought the military through Nadeko. He fought to Daniel. He fought the military, telling the military to obey the rules and regulations of the law, the constitutional law. Here we are today. 3 courts have said release him on bail. He's not running away, for God's sake. And you can imagine a situation where 2 military, federal government military apparatus are fighting themselves, manhandling the commander of the prison commission. It is a disgrace to this nation. It is a complete disgrace. Complete disgrace. How else are we going to describe this? What is the fate of the poor man if this is happening today for somebody that served a nation for 9 good years? My brother is not going to run away. He served this nation for 9 good years. And is this the way you are going to treat somebody that served a nation for 9 good years? To pay him back in this way? This is not fair.
Him to arrest people. If it's difficult for them, they kill, they do all sort of things. It's really sad. Guys, watch the video. Try as much as possible to share it, let people see it. Okay? Let people benefit from it. And utmost of it all, your offering. Click on the subscribe button and open every notifications. This will enable you to see our videos the moment we upload them. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Bye.
On what's trending, with reactions trailing the breakdown of law and order, which occurred at the Federal High Court in Ikoyi on Tuesday, following the rearrest of the suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, by the Department of State Services, despite being granted a 20 million naira bail. The presiding judge, Nicholas Owebo, ruled that the embattled CBN governor be remanded at the correctional center pending the fulfillment of his bail conditions, but operatives of the secret police insisted on taking Emefiele into their custody, which ultimately led to an all-out brawl between heavily armed DSS operatives and officials of the Nigerian Correctional Service.
This is what the DSS has told Nigeria.
The Nigerian Correctional Service being humiliated. We've been humiliated. His uniform,
Many reactions have trailed this story. Let me take one from Daniel Boala, who wrote, This happened today in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Actually, this happened yesterday. Anybody who wears the uniform symbolizes the authority of the Republic and walks in the name of the President, who is the head of the Republic. Those who assault law enforcement are liable to prosecution by our law. Alas, this was done to him by his comrades in the law enforcement platform, allegedly while he was carrying out a lawful order. What a sad day. Well, in the meantime, George Emefiele, brother to the suspended governor of the central bank, who attended the hearing and witnessed the brawl, called it a complete disgrace.
It is disheartening that we have a government that came in through democratic process. We have a government that believes in democracy. We have a government that understands the rule of law. I remember vividly well when DSS invaded EFCC office. It took less than 12 hours for the president to give order that DSS should vacate the EFCC office. Why can't he do the same here? I remember very well when I was in secondary school, the Nadeko period. I knew how the current president fought the military through Nadeko. He fought to Tanel. He fought the military, telling the military to obey the rules and regulations of the law, the constitutional law. Here we are today. 3 courts have said release him on bail. He's not running away, for God's sake. And you can imagine a situation where 2 military, federal government military apparatus are fighting themselves, manhandling the commander of the prison commission. It is a disgrace to this nation. It is a complete disgrace. Complete disgrace. How else are we going to describe this? What is the fate of the poor man if this is happening today to somebody that served a nation for 9 good years? My brother is not going to run away. He served this nation for 9 good years. And is this the way you are going to treat somebody that served a nation for 9 good years? To pay him back in this way? This is not fair. We are all Nigerians.
Well, let me take another tweet. This is from Inibehe Effiong. He wrote, The SSS has recorded yet another point in its long list of infamy and impunity. The show of shame at the Federal High Court in Lagos is a vindication of those of us who have said time and time again that this so-called law enforcement agency is nothing but a political and partisan tool in the hands of every occupant of Asro Rock. It is very disgusting to see the crude desecration of the Federal High Court in Lagos by the SSS. The court ordered that Emefiele should be remanded in the correctional center, but the reckless and lawless SSS, in its usual character, went after Emefiele in flagrant violation of the order of the court. Such despicable sight should not be tolerated in a constitutional democracy. Mr. Tinubu retained Mr. Bichi as the DG of SSS because Bichi is ever willing to deploy the agency to witch hunt Tinubu's perceived political foes. When Godwin Emefiele was suspended as the CBN governor, many Nigerians wrongly assumed that his suspension was aimed at holding him accountable for his terrible monetary policies and any infraction he may have committed under the corrupt Buhari regime. However, all that the government has been able to come up with so far are 2 ridiculous and dubious charges of illegal possession of firearms, while Asari Dokubo, who has publicly displayed assault rifle, is busy raising a private army and walking freely. The SSS shamelessly went after Emefiele over possession of primitive guns. Tinubu must accept responsibility for the invasion of the court. The judiciary is now at the mercy of a lawless agency of executive arm of government. I call on the judiciary to rise up and defend its integrity and independence. Well, a member of Lawyers in Defense of Democracy, Okere Kingdom, asked the federal government to apologize to Emefiele for labeling him a terrorist and called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to remove the DG of DSS, Yusuf Bichi, for being incompetent.
You labeled him a terrorist.
police, he must apologize. Then we ask, whether you are charging him for possession of firearms when Asari Dokubo is displaying his AK-47. Have you arrested Asari Dokubo? Recruiting militants, threatening to kill the entire Southeast people. You have not arrested him because he's doing your own bidding. Now you are coming to arrest Emefiele for possessing firearms. What about the bandits in the bush, in Sambisa? What about the bandits along Kaduna, Abuja-Kaduna Road? How many of them have they arrested? The bandits that are parading AK-47, how many of them have they arraigned for possessing AK-47? They don't know where the bandits are. If they don't know where the bandits are, don't they know the man who goes to visit the bandits and come out? Don't they know him? He goes to visit the bandits in the bush and come out. How many of those bandits in the bush that have AK-47 has the DSS arraigned? How many? Because Emefiele is from the southeast, or because he's from the south, that bears him on them. We must prosecute them. We must suppress them. In a country, you say we are united and our unity is our diversity. You just talk, you don't walk the talk. In this country, rule of law must be entrenched. That is why we are here. He must apologize to Emefiele. DSS is not the law. They are established by a piece of legislation. This is a country that runs on law, on rule of law. The constitution is our ground norm. That is what we are saying. The constitution has stipulated that there are three arms of government: executive, legislature, and judiciary. That is why we are crying out. Rule of law must be entrenched. That is the issue. It's not about Yusuf Magaji. He cannot give an order from his office to counter the court. He doesn't have that power. He doesn't. No matter the rifle he's playing parade, Magaji Yusuf, the DG of DSS, does not have the power to counter court order. He doesn't have the power. That's what we are saying. He's not established by himself. He's established by a piece of legislation. A piece of legislation that is no more than the constitution. That is what we are crying out for. Tinubu sack this man. This man will give your government a bad image. This man will give your government a bad reputation. He has started with lawlessness, impunity. Look at the way they handled the office of the Nigerian Correctional Service. Is that what we should expect in this country? We will continue to talk. Tinubu, you have started on a wrong note. The man you have left as DSS Director General is bringing disorderliness in the judicial system. He's desecrating the institution. Remove him, he's incompetent.